Okay, welcome everybody to our regular June meeting. Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Prosser?
Here.
Paul?
Yes.
Sewell?
He's here.
Crowell?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Here. And we will start with public comments for this meeting. You have up to 5 minutes. You can step to the podium.
My name is Doug May, live in Collinsville. 7 years ago, Derek, when you served as a trustee, your focus was then and obviously remains manpower and the experienced people from the assessor's office based on comparisons to surrounding communities. Anyone who has attended township meetings, as I have, recognize your obsession with reducing the staff at the assessor's office. I asked you years ago, what is your end game, considering the excessive time you've spent ad nauseum arguing with one of the most respected, knowledgeable assessors in the state of Illinois? All these years later, here we are. When you've caused so much disruption within a well-functioning office, conflict with the union and employees, dismissing the education Peabody has offered you, and anyone attending the monthly meetings, the taxpayer would ask, why the disproportionate attention to the assessor's office? You claim taxpayer savings. I see your efforts as an ideological obsession to put a feather in your cap at the expense of an efficient, union-represented assessor's office. On another topic, you have complimented yourself over the years for senior center improvements while celebrating saving taxpayer money. You often mention the funding for many improvements have come from grants. I would hope that those who compliment you for being rewarded with these grants recognize the revenue from these grants originate from Illinois Democratic public policies. But you announce these grants as if the money is manna from heaven. The truth is, this revenue would not be made available if the party you resist acknowledging, Democrats, helped you to look like a savior. Good for you for the Volkswagen, the solar, and all the other grant rewards. It would serve you well to acknowledge how this money was made available by Democratic public policies. Thank you.
They all fought against it.
I'm gonna ask my question.
Okay.
Okay, when you say public assistance,
General.
I wasn't really aware that we had that in this town. I just wonder how many people do know that, and how many people did we help last year? You said that you spent 18,000. I mean, like, can you kind of give me an idea of what you're talking about?
Yeah, just so it's called Robert's Rules of Order, and so the way our bylaws are written right now, which we will talk about possibly changing, I would like to answer you and go back and forth, but the way it is right now, that's not really the way we run the meetings. And so I will answer your question when my time comes, if that's cool.
Later in the meeting.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right, so, I'm kind of confused when you say, I've seen this graph all over Facebook and everything, and you say you keep comparing Edwardsville and Collinsville. Well, the way it's been explained to me in more than one person, is Edwardsville doesn't reassess every 4 years. Our state requires it, but they don't do it. So when you keep saying that we are like Edwardsville, our township office is doing much more than what Edwardsville is doing. So, whether they're looking out for us or whatever, but I mean, and when you when you talk about your budget, does that mean when you budget, do you put in there extra money for your attorney fees when you go seek another attorney? I'm just asking a question, because it's something that I would like to know. And I feel that everybody should know that. But I think, like when you did your budget, I didn't hear you say anything about X amount of dollars in case I need to run to another lawyer, so.
Thank you. Any others?
Al Wallen, Collinsville. Mr. Cox, supervisor for one of the best townships in the state of Illinois. I want to thank you for everything that you guys done, the trustees, you yourself. But I just don't understand why you say you take $150,000 out of the assessor's office and you don't take nothing out of the senior center, or say that you're not gonna control the assessor's office. When you take $150,000 out of someone's salary or their funds, he's gonna have to do something. He's gonna have to lay people off. If you take away $25,000 away from the senior center that you said earlier, how are you gonna control the senior center if you take the money out of there? I don't understand that. I've been coming for these meetings for the past 12, 16 years. There was some good and bad. But when you compare Edwardsville, Granite, Jarvis, Alton to Collinsville, that's apples and oranges. Because they don't have the employees to do the job. You said that you're for the seniors, taxpayers. There's so many people I hear that don't want to go to Edwardsville. There's no parking. It's hard to get to. At least in Collinsville Township, we have a place. And as a supervisor of this beautiful township, you should say, I'll do anything I can do for my voters. But it seems like when you take somebody's $150,000 away from them, they're not going to be able to do that. Trustees that was elected, look yourself in the mirror, and if that was your grandma and grandpa, that would have to go up there to Edwardsville to do all their business. When they have a beautiful township, assessor's office right here in Collinsville, Illinois, to do the work. Those ladies in that office do a wonderful job. And I hope that you do one as a trustee. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, so this one isn't as long as the other one. I just wanted to address a couple of the items that were discussed. Yes, the previous board voted on budgets, and we also based that decision on all of the information that the assessor and the departments provide. Previous years of budgets, previous years of expenditures, they've always been forthcoming with any of the documentation that was needed as far as financials. The concern is also the township is deficit spending. Like, we have been spending down the reserves at this point. So if we continue to levy less and less and less and force people to cut all of these budgets, cuts are going to have to be made. That's just part of it. And then as far as the decrease in other aspects, I wanna also, second that a capital project, not having that expenditure anymore is completely different than an operating budget. Cutting something that was budgeted for as far as a capital project is completely different than cutting somebody's, ongoing operating expenses. And again, it has been approved for previous years, so why all of a sudden that this cut when community members don't want that? They appreciate the services that they receive. Other townships in the county, they don't want this added burden, or something is going to have to, like, the quality of service is going to change. So, anyway, I think that those were the main ones that I wanted to address.
Catherine Ball, Collinsville, Illinois. First, I want to welcome the new Board of Trustees. I wish you all great 4 years. I want to address some things, mainly so they'll be read into the record. To be clear, I'm not speaking on behalf of Trustee Ball. He's a grown man, he can speak for himself. To be honest, he didn't even know I was speaking tonight. And, you know, if anybody knows him, he doesn't need anybody speaking for him. Again, I just want this to be on the record, that I'm speaking. One thing I want to point out specifically is that Supervisor Cox campaigned on 2 slogans. A better township for you was one of them, and another one was promises made, promises kept. I also remember Supervisor Cox saying that going forward, how the new board was going to be wonderful and do great things together, with emphasis on together. Also, he mentioned how he was ready to move past all the drama and start anew. I think we all remember the numerous speeches he gave. We heard them all. That is what he told you, me, and the public. But if you've all been following along the last few meetings, you probably couldn't help but notice the same rhetoric, the negative talk, the exhaustive drama, the talk we as a community are all sick of. Instead of focusing on the business of the township, we were forced week after week to listen to Supervisor Cox and relatives personally attack trustees. More specifically, Trustee Cox's father labeling certain trustees as hypocrites. Everyone is exhausted by the immature name calling, and I'm not gonna stoop to that. It's non-productive, it doesn't benefit anyone. And so getting back to my earlier point, Supervisor Cox campaigned on having such a great team moving forward and how things were gonna be positive. Yet, all I have witnessed since the election is nothing but the same negative backwards momentum. I want the public to reference the supervisor's notes from the last meeting and notice how he intentionally set up meetings with each of the new trustees except Trustee Ball. Last meeting, Trustee Ball brought to his attention at the meeting that Supervisor Cox, did you leave somebody out? And this was during the meeting. To which Supervisor Cox replied without hesitation with an adamant yes. This is important because I want on record, so the public knows, this is the complete opposite of what he promised to you, the public, in his campaign. But this is how the supervisor is starting out day one. Promises made, promises not kept. After Supervisor Cox promised a better township, a positive way forward, working as a team, working together, working for you, the public, this is what is happening right out of the gate. This is what you are getting. Is this what you voted for? Because day one, this is what you're getting. The public is sick and tired of this pettiness, yet here we are. Wanting a clearly ran township with no drama isn't a lot to ask for, but it starts with the leader. Supervisor Cox is the first to say he is the supervisor, he is in charge. Yes, that is correct, he is. But the bottom line, it comes down to him. As your leader, it starts and ends with him. If you reference Supervisor Cox's campaign site, he has a campaign video from February using the song, "Nothing is gonna stop us now." He states in that video, quote, "It is important we move in the same direction." But then this is how he is choosing to start off the next 4 years. Supervisor Cox chose to openly have discussions with all trustees, but openly excluded Trustee Ball. Why? Is that mature or productive? Is that how a team works? Is that constructive or in the best interest of the taxpayers or the people you serve? Is that in alignment with what he promised in his campaign? My question is, how can you
30 seconds.
move forward in a direction when you outright exclude team members? That doesn't make for a cohesive work environment. Having direct and open lines of communication are crucial to growth and positive development. I'll just end by saying it starts with the supervisor, and the supervisor also stated that he is your leader, and he also promised that the public deserves great. This isn't great. Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Keely Morgan again, lived here since 1980. And Mr. Cox said that there's nothing personal against the assessor's office with what he's trying to do, but he wrote on social media, yeah, let's see if you're there and Andy is, then what about the others? Do you all carpool? I will just look at your time clocks. Oh wait, don't have those either. You guys have 7 employees and never more than 2 people there, overcharging the taxpayers for decades. The gravy train's coming to an end soon. Don't you worry, you've been there like 3rd longest, so you're safe. Have a great holiday weekend. I know I will. Sounds kind of personal to me.
Anybody else?
I'm Mark Achenbach, Maryville. I just want to make a couple of comments. First, my friend Doug May said all these grants are Democrat. Well, I mean, I don't want to be partisan, but you know there are Republicans involved in that too. So I'm personally on a board that the grants program was set up by 2 Republicans, and it gives out $2 million a year. The old Volkswagen that sits out there, that was a board of 5 Republicans that voted to give that bus not only to here, Granite City, lots of other places. So I would just like to, excuse me, just a comment. Republicans don't do everything, Democrats don't do everything, we gotta work together. Next was, there were some comments about Edwardsville Township. I'm not sure if everybody in here is clear that there's the county that's in Edwardsville, and they have an assessor's office, and they do, I don't know the exact number, but it's roughly a dozen townships across the county. They do their assessments. But there's also Edwardsville Township, which is just like Collinsville Township. They have an assessor's office. So there are 2 assessor's offices in Edwardsville, and I think when the supervisor was talking about the budget, he's using the numbers from Edwardsville Township office, not the county. If he would have included the county's numbers, those actually are more in line with Edwardsville Township because they charge per assessment. And he didn't even include that. If he included that, it makes the Collinsville assessor's office look even worse. I guess all I would say to the board is, no one wants to be unfair to any public servant and wants to provide everybody, we should want to provide them with sufficient resources to do the job that they're tasked with. However, there's a benchmark here in Madison County, And when you look around and you look at the other assessor's office, it's pretty clear Collinsville's doing something different. Now, are we getting something, the results are great, just great? I mean, if it was car repair and you go look at your car and they did work on your engine and your engine, after they were done, the engine was better than somebody else, it's your assessment. And in the end, every year, the state does the equalization, and it's based on actual sales. So again, I'm just gonna say, the Collinsville assessor likes to talk about chasing sales, and everybody's doing it wrong because they're chasing sales. But the ultimate corrector, final correction to your tax assessment is done by actual comparisons between the assessment and the sale price for actual homes. They look at the actual homes. It's a running 3-year average. They look at all the homes. They throw out the lows and the highs, the ones that are the outliers, and they just look at the numbers. Collinsville Township is not doing any better than any other of the townships down here. It's pretty much on the same size townships, in line with what they're doing. But yet, we're paying, in some cases, 2.5 times as much, in other cases, 1.5 times as much. It's ridiculous. You know, we're taxpayers, we're gonna get stuck with our tax bill every year. It goes up every year. Whatever you can do to help us, we appreciate it. And there's no reason for this board to continue the process of putting over budgeting in the assessor's office. I mean, and in the end, people like to throw out scare comments. Oh my God, you're gonna cut 150,000. You're gonna have to run to Edwardsville. Well, I mean, I guess if push came to shove, maybe the assessor would actually have to come up and sit in the office to answer questions. And I don't think that's the case, because these other townships aren't doing that. They're able to get it done. So I'd ask you to please carefully consider, and we just want what's fair. We're not, I'm not here, I don't have a beef with Pete. I don't really even know Pete, just from seeing him a few times. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Anybody else?
I'm Jeffrey Menendez from Maryville. I just wanted to address the board one last time. Like somebody said earlier, welcome. Glad to have you guys all on the board. You all know why we were voted in office, and that's to keep the taxpayers, keep it in mind for everything moving forward. It's really important to keep your emotions out of those choices, because like, look in the audience, we have a great democracy. We have people from both sides. It's very important to stay nonpartisan when you're making these kinds of decisions that are gonna affect both sides. So some people are loud, some people are well-spoken, some people are really adamant about showing up to these meetings, but there's 97% of Collinsville citizens, or Collinsville Township citizens, that aren't here. They're working, they're taking care of their families, they're helping their loved ones, the elderly, because you have to help the community. You can't invest all your time into sticking all your emotions into politics, driving your own narratives. It has to remain nonpartisan. So I just encourage you guys, when you're thinking about your vote, when it comes to the budget, nobody's being personal. From what Derek said earlier, it sounds like everybody has agreed to lower their budget. You guys can work with the assessor's office. You guys can do whatever you need to do. I just ask you to remain nonpartisan when you're making this decision. Keep the politics out of it. Keep your emotions out of it. Keep the taxpayers in mind. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else?
I have just one question, Mr. Cox. Are you proposing to hire any new employees in the near future?
Okay. Is that for my office?
Your office.
Okay.
Are you proposing to hire any more employees?
Okay, perfect. Anybody else? Okay, I think I'll be able to weave in most of these. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, and we are going to be voting on items A through F. Clerk Achenbach?
So we have approval of minutes from the May 14th regular meeting, also the May 20th special meeting, which was the swearing in of the elected officials, and then you have the reports from the assessor, highway commissioner, myself, and Supervisor Cox.
I motion that we accept the consent agenda and pass it. Do it.
Motion to approve by
Yeah,
Brad.
that's it. Motion to-
Whatever.
I'll second.
Thank you. Just a regular addition.
No other questions, roll call?
Trustee Prosser? Here. Ball?
Yes.
That's an aye. You can say here, I guess. That's all right.
Okay.
Ball, Sewell?
Rookie mistake.
Yes.
Proud?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of bills. And I will mention that all the bills each month, except the employees' wages, will be available on our website that you can check out, okay? And all the trustees have always gotten all the bills, and as they've gotten in their emails and things too, if they ever actually want to see the actual receipt, just ask, and it's in the office. And so, clerk?
Okay, first one, under general assistance, we had expenditures for the month of $1,090.04.
A motion we approve that.
Any seconds? Okay, if no other questions, roll call.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Sewell?
Yes.
Proud?
Yes.
Prosser? Yes. Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
If you don't mind me calling you by the last name. Okay. Under road and bridge, we had expenditures for the month of $117,690.28.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, if no questions, roll call.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Proud?
Yes.
Prosser?
Yes.
Ball?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Next, there were no expenditures in the road and bridge equipment fund. Next would be the town fund, expenditures of $793.72.
I'll motion we approve that.
Okay, no questions, roll call.
Trustee Crowell?
Yes.
Prosser?
Yes.
Ball? Sewell?
Yeah.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
And finally, the last up is the senior center, which had expenditures for the month of $7,178.33.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
If no questions, roll call.
Trustee Prosser?
Yes.
Ball?
Yes.
Sewell?
Yes.
Proud?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Thank you, Jim. Okay, reports by officers and committees. We'll start with our highway commissioner, Kathy.
Okay, I turned in my, my report to you all, so, what I've got coming up as far as, being on the, state board is we will be having a highway commissioners seminar in August, and then I'm also going to attend, I don't know if Jim is too, but the, TOI seminar that's in November. I will be attending both of those. The one in August, I'll be going up there that day to help, and then, the one in November, Jim and I usually are the ones that attend that, but it's open to anybody that's on the trustees, supervisor, clerk, so just keep that in mind too, because you learn a lot at those seminars. So as far as what we're doing right now, we're really behind because of all the rain, and so mowing's behind, pretty much everything's behind. There's a lot of violations out there right now because of people not mowing their yards, trying to give them the opportunity to do it first before the county steps in on it. I'm working with the county right now on the house that got finally demoed at the corner of Clifton and Leicester. Working with them they're gonna take their violation off if we can get a lien towards the property and us take on the violations, so that someone can cut that lot. Yeah, it's as tall as me right now. And I've been trying to work with them for 3 weeks to get this taken care of, so I already talked to our attorney, and he's ready to go with it as long as we can get the information they need to
Do we
get
know the
to us.
owners of that lot?
They can't find them.
Right,
So that's why it took so long to tear the house down, because
right.
I've probably been on him for even before I
Right.
became commissioner, to tear that house down. So he did live there for a short time, and then, but anyway, so yeah, they cannot find him. If somebody lives in a house and they can find the owners, we cannot go into their yards and cut grass, but when there's this type of situation, we will put a lien on the lot and keep track of everything that we do, so. Anyway, I've been working on that, and Jennifer's working on the stuff for the audit. We got that information on Friday, so she's trying to get all that together and it should be turned in she's just gonna send it directly to Kevin on a drive, so she should have that turned in this week or beginning of next week at the latest, so.
Is there any notable progress on the Lebanon? I know we're not running it.
We're on, they jumped to, the next phase, which is phase 4. So they will finish that phase before they go back to the other. So it'll be an easier truck to get around once they're done with that phase. And then, hopefully we'll have some flaggers that will be able to stay there. They were saying, well, we could give you flaggers for a week, but not a week. Well, they can't do it that way. They need them there, and it's the railroad that provides the flaggers. And so we're at their mercy. So that's where we're at right now with it, that once they finished phase 4, they're hoping to jump right back into the phase of the bridge. Have the
Buck
railroad there
company
to help.
just goes around go up the hill, and go out to Long End, come back around on the other end,
Yeah.
cause we got that passenger there. Where are you guys talking about? There's a flagger somewhere?
They need flaggers for anywhere that you're working near the railroad. So there's a pier that we have to work near. So they want flaggers there when we're working. anywhere
Oh, I
near
see
the
what you're
railroad.
saying, okay, so.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Logistics.
yeah, there you go, safety.
Is there any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Assessor submitted his report, and trustees, just jump in if you have anything you'd like to comment on.
You guys? Yeah, so I got a few comments. I'm not gonna sit here and waste a lot of time and whatnot, but I could have spent an hour going through the budget in the previous meeting. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm voting no for this budget. I think it's willfully negligence to arbitrarily cut without providing some solutions and working with Pete directly. And I'd ask the supervisor to really own it for what it is. I mean, you're asking for a headcount reduction, so you might as well just come out and say. One other thing is, I'd like to stop the deficit spending that we have done in the 4 years, other than the accounts that we really need to spend down. And I understand that GA is definitely one of them still, but,
That's what we do.
I'm expecting that, the budget proposal will pass tonight. I'm expecting a lawsuit to ensue, which will be a waste of taxpayers' dollars. Maybe we'll get some remedy out of that, once it happens. So, and I'll just leave it at that for this evening.
As far as the, not trying to work with the assessor, that's not true. And for 4 years, I even had a meeting, and so everybody knows, with the union. And we had agreed that there was too many. And what they said at the meeting, they said, let's not do anything crazy. Let's just, there's some retiring and it takes a time to train. That was always the big thing. Mr. Paletti always says it took 5 years to train. So that's what he says. point is that we wanted to try, you remember this, to try to let, if somebody retires, not replace them, to get more, to benchmark more where with everybody else is doing.
That's correct, those conversations have happened.
Right,
in the
and so,
past,
and what I'm gonna say is that didn't occur. He didn't hold up to his end of the bargain, okay? And so we wanted to, and to be perfectly honest with you, this is still more, it's still, not quite double, but way more than Edwardsville, what I'm putting in
I'm not
front of
talking
you.
about Edwardsville, I'm talking about this budget.
Right, and the reason that I
And-
use, and I let
and
you
a
talk.
workshop.
Okay, I let you talk, let me finish. What I'm saying is that Edwardsville, the reason I use Edwardsville, it's not just because they're lower than us, okay? It's the only thing, it was made in a comment, these aren't apples to apples. Edwardsville absolutely is apples to apples. 16,417 parcels, Collinsville has 16,745 parcels. They do the exact same work. Now, Pete can say that they're breaking the law, all right? And perhaps the state's attorney can look into it, but he's saying that every single one of these is breaking the law, but he's not. And my point is, if Edwardsville can do it for $184,000, why can't we at least do it for $383,000? That makes sense. You want a balanced budget, that's what I'm giving you here. And so what I'm saying is, if you vote no on it, you're voting no on everything. And I want your vote, because we agree, we agree. I'm not trying to be.
I'm not against budget cuts.
Right, and so what
But I'm against arbitrary cuts with no game plan and no true sit down, coming to Jesus meeting to work with people.
And so
You've never had that.
Here's my answer. I sent an email just last month telling him exactly what I was proposing. I said I would like to talk about this, and he says, no, I need $539,000, all of it. That's what he told me. For 4 years, Clint, we have tried. And so what is it next year? He's told me that he's gonna keep on raising it. It could go up to $1 million a year. We were elected by the people, okay? And I know that some folks are gonna, get upset. But again, like one of the comments said, not everybody's here, and it sucks about politics, and I do apologize for the new board that it's a tough thing, the first meeting, to have to do this. But that is what we ran for. And we're here to do a job. And so that's all. And I'm not, and just so you guys know, I'm not going to hold it personally against anybody if you see it different. We are always going to see things differently. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I hope I can explain it more when we
I'm
get
not
into
holding
that
it
budget.
personally against you or anybody on this board.
Right, but I have tried.
But you have personally held it against Pete.
No,
That's just
I have to somebody, I think it was your wife's comment, all right? I ran on promises made, promises kept. I have been talking about this, as you know, and it has been mentioned before. I've been here, at the end of the 12 years. We have been talking about this, and I've been trying over and over and over, and we never do anything. I don't know what else to do. Instead of trying to work with me, I've been told he didn't tell the board or anybody. Now he's hired another person. Do you see what I'm saying? Now we have another employee. That's not trying to work with us. That's just trying to poke us. And that's not fair either.
His response to your poking him.
How am I poking him? This is our duty.
It's been 8 years, dude.
So-
And the taxpayer gets poked in the long run.
Right, yeah.
So, on this also, looking at Pete's budget, 92 to 93% of his budget is his employees.
Yes.
So if we tell him to cut 124,000, not the 150 or even 124,000, you're still, he has no way of taking his money but cutting people, cutting his employees. To give the example, as the way I look at it is, right now, you can go up there, we don't have to worry about phones sitting there for 20 minutes, being shorthanded. It'd be like going to a grocery store and saying 7 lines open. and all of a sudden now there's only 3 lines open, and everybody, we still are all taxpayers here. Nothing has changed as far as the amount of people that we have. So is that gonna hurt the service or not help the people that go up there? The senior citizens that are going up there to need the paperwork? Are they gonna have to wait longer? Are they gonna have to take days or weeks before they get their stuff? By having shorter amount of people, there's going to be some kind of service that's not be given to us like you're used to. That's why I agree with, Clint here, I'm gonna be voting no also.
Okay, and to answer that, because I see the folks come in there, we'll have on an average, well, before the yellow cards, when they used to do the yellow cards, they would drop them off, okay? Maybe 5, 6 people a day, okay? And my only answer to that is Edwardsville, and now you're talking about head count, because you are correct, okay? Edwardsville has 2,
Right.
okay? They assess the same amount of parcels. It was mentioned about a better job. They say, you've heard it before. He says, I do a better job, I do a better job. But the numbers don't lie.
Right.
And so what are we talking about here? Are you talking about the 5 people would have to wait in line to ask a question? I don't.
It's not just that, you gotta look at, and I don't know what Edwardsville Township as far as how many complaints they have. Working for the city, you go to City Hall, you want the minimum amount of complaints
I
from
agree.
the taxpayers.
Right.
So I'm just looking at, if you cut that down to 2 to 3 people, they have 7, you said they hired another one, right? They
That's
have
what I was
7.
told, yes.
Well, if they have 7,
7,
if they
yes.
cut down 2 or 3, you have to have 2 to go out and do their, estimates on the homes. Then you're gonna have, if everybody's there, not on vacation, not sick, not whatever's going on, you're only gonna have 1 or 2 people there. Even if Pete is there or out there on the job with another person, I just think that is cutting it a little short. My thoughts are, let's see where we're at next year. Pete, I had talked to him and also made sure that this was true. He's always been 10 to 15% under his budget. So even though he's asking for this budget now, I think it's 5% more, if the man was, if anybody was over their budget year after year, I could say, you know what, we need to look into this. But as right now, and I know I'm new, we have 4 years to look at this every year and see where we're at. I just think it's pushing it too quickly and not really, at least for me, not knowing all the answers.
Yes, please.
7 people, now 8?
No, he has, this is 7, not including the assessors.
Okay, so 7, and one of them's new, so there was 6, and one of them we know has never been in that office. And didn't you say a while ago, and I know I've driven by here in my bus, drove down that road a lot, and there's 2 cars in the parking lot. So I don't think it's gonna be like there's a shortage of people in the office. That's not where the shortage is gonna differ. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, good managers all across this country and every company, many companies I should say, have had to do more with less here recently, and I'm gonna vote that he does more with less.
Do you have any comments? And we're not even on to that discussion item, so if you wanna, if you wanna say, yeah, we're getting it over with now maybe, but if you, whatever you'd like to say.
I have looked at a lot of budgets and a lot of history on the township.
You put that mic closer to you.
Oh.
There you go. You can put it right next to you. You
There's
can
plenty
move
of
it.
slack on that cable.
You
Pull
just
it
pull
over
it
in
in.
front of you.
There you go.
I have looked at a lot of history and done a lot of digging into this township and the township prior to Derek becoming a supervisor. And what I've seen is a lot of family and friends, that are involved in the township, and all working together. And I have seen Kathy run a township. I knew her father did before, and but she runs a township, and she is not she doesn't lay roads. She she doesn't put out asphalt, she doesn't dig ditches, she doesn't mow. She doesn't sit in the, over the, budgets or whatever. She talks to her, from what I am hearing, because I'm hearing from your family, that you're there for any questions, you're there being a supervisor. I've heard nothing but amazing compliments. You cross your T's, you dot your I's, you serve the public. I did not realize that your budget is completely separate from the township's budget. With that said, I see you as being a good supervisor, a supervisor of your department. In regard to as a supervisor and what you do, I see that you're there to answer questions. I see that you're there seeking new funding. I see that you're writing a lot of things that benefit the township. I just see that there's a lot of interaction with the community, not just here, but in so many different events, doing overtime. When I look at Pete, I looked at his resume. He is an assessor, there's no doubt. His education, and I've looked at his resume, he is an assessor. I did not find anything in his education about being a manager or a supervisor. A manager and a supervisor watches their budget. They watch what goes on in their office. They watch how the spending goes and if it's been done. And I see, just from what I'm seeing on the outside looking in, and I've asked to come into the offices, and because it's hard for me to approve a budget where I'm not seeing, you can throw numbers at me, but how are those numbers coming up? So when I asked Pete to be a part of that, oh yes, but he's never made time for me. Kathy, your brother, has said, please come see us, talk to Kathy, come see us. I've asked Pete a couple times, can I come and see, can I come and talk? Can I find out what you do? I'm supposed to approve monies for my employer, who is the taxpayer. And I don't know what to do. I mean, I see that I see this, and Pam did correct this, I see apples to apples between Edwardsville and Collinsville. I've learned about the multiplier. I've learned that they were off, both cities, both townships, they were off by 6%. So that had to be made up, okay? And so I see that it takes 7 people in Pete's office and 2 in Edwardsville. I also see that there are professionals, from my documents I've read, there are professional deputy assessors. Pete has told us they're professional, very good people who do their job. But we can't get the job done for the same amount. And he says none of them are in compliance. They're not doing what he does. I've checked that out. They're absolutely doing what he does. We're not asking for that much of a budget cut. I don't understand the numbers. And if I was invited into the office so I could be shown what needs to be done, maybe I would have a different feeling on that.
Thank you. Thanks, Margo. Let's see here. Yeah, Senior Center. I'll just briefly let you guys know that yesterday we served over 100 people in here. It was a great meal. We do lunch Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, 11 o'clock to 12:30. We also have a lot of great trips coming up. That's not all we do. There's all kinds of different activities. There's yoga, there's arts and crafts, there's dance lessons, there's actual dances. The grants were mentioned in there. And actually, it was kind of ironic. The person that mentioned the grants was here and voted no, because I let it up to the public if we should use a grant to get that parking lot. We had a big meeting in here. The person that spoke voted no on the parking lot, okay? That is a grant. And the thing is, he's correct. Grant money comes from taxpayers' money, okay? It comes from taxpayers. But I feel that my job is to go get it back for you guys, because it's already been allocated out there by the state or the county, or if it's MCT, it's out there. So do you guys, would you rather me not get any of that money for you guys? Because that's what it kind of sounds like. And that's not what happened. We did the parking lot, even though I was told by the same individual voted no, not to do the parking lot. And now we have a great place to park. We've also been told about the elderly. I don't care about the elderly. What? There could be nothing further from the truth. That is the number one reason that I do this job, because I can see that I can make an impact in people's lives. It's not for the salary, I assure you. And so what I'm saying is, that was a way, before there was no parking. If you had an event, you couldn't even get in here. Okay, we have a parking lot. We have a bus now, completely grant funded. Now we don't have $1,500 electric bills every single month. Okay, there's other grants. I can go on. We have food grants that we get. So anyway, this is a great place, and I believe that every community deserves a senior center. The seniors have paid taxes. These are citizens. These are tax-paying citizens. They've paid their entire life. Don't they deserve something? A place to socialize and have friends and have a great lunch? I see somebody shaking their head no. That's ridiculous. They do, and this is a great place, and I'm proud of it. So that's my report on the senior center. Sorry, I get passionate about it. Clerk.
Nothing here.
Okay. Old business, there's none. And then the new business. Okay, now to the fun stuff. Approval of the Township Road District Budget and Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2025 and ending March 31st, 2026. First of all, is there any questions that we haven't went over since the budget hearing on the roads? No questions?
Motion approved.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Roll call.
Sorry. Let's see, where was I? We'll start at the top. Prosser?
Yes.
Ball?
Yes.
Sewell?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the township budget and appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2025 and ending March 31st, 2026. Let me try to answer just a couple of questions that were thrown at me, and then you guys can we can jump in and try to get somewhere. Again, I have tried to work with the assessor. I have emails to prove that. He claims that he needs the entire $539,000 to do his job, okay? I'm not here, this board legally is not here, as we already heard from the attorney, to tell him how to do his job. We are only here to say, we're the voice of the taxpayers to say, here's how much money you can do to do your job, okay? So I took what was the levy last year, and that's what I did, and it's still more than every single other township that I got FOIAs back from, okay? Edwardsville doesn't assess legally, okay? This is a public meeting, and I'm sure that it will get back to them that they're not doing something by the law. But all the rest of them, okay, they have a multiplier, and they're all, I'm not saying our assessor is doing a bad job. I'm not saying anything. We are only here to say we are allocating the money, okay? So my point is, I don't think Edwardsville would agree that they're not doing it legally. They have an office that you can go into, just like we have an office. And it was mentioned at the podium that a lot of people don't know this, half of Madison County townships are done by the county. It was mentioned that they have 24 employees. That is correct, but was not mentioned they only have 6 employees dedicated to all those townships for the assessing duties for those townships. Those 6 employees assess over 20,000 properties. Those people are only dedicated for assessing those properties. The other that are there do the other jobs, those 6. So 6 do the job for 20,000 parcels. We have 7 doing the job for 16,000. Okay? St. Clair County, if people doesn't understand. Do you know how many township assessors are in St. Clair County? 0. The earth, the sky is not going to fall. Okay? It's not. And so other counties, we're the ones that are doing it completely different. We're the ones right now charging you more than double. So I don't think anybody that votes yes, there should be any anger towards those folks. We're trying to save the taxpayers' money.
So you're calling for anger, those are gonna vote no?
No, I already mentioned that.
Well, that's just what you said.
No, because the anger's only been coming at us. I've already said I'm not gonna hold it personal because we got a lot of great things to do on this board. So I'm not trying to move the assessor's office, okay? Could that be a possibility? St. Clair County has no township assessors. Could that, this was, and to be fair, I could go more. I'm trying to ease into it, okay? I'm trying to ease into it. I'm still giving more. 383 more than every other one. So I'm trying to ease into it. And it is correct about his budget it's not 90%, there's about $100 and something thousand in there that is other things other than employees. And then a lot of it is health insurance. But again, I do wish that I don't have anything against any employees. I want everybody to have a job, right? But it is true, my employees in my office, we have time clocks. Kathy's office has time clocks. He does not have any time clocks, okay? It is true that you only do see 2 cars there. There's only, unless they're carpooling, there's 2 cars there. There's 7 employees, maybe they are, I don't know. I've never given them, and so, the other point is, the question was asked, am I planning on hiring any new employees? If one is getting ready to retire, and say if our cook is talking in a few years, she can retire, then yes, I would hire a new chef. But adding to it, no, because it's in my budget. The budget that I'm putting forward has reductions on my side too. I would like, trust me, I would love, because I have some friends in the audience, I would love to spend more money in here. I have all kinds of things that I would love to spend more money on, but that's not how I feel that is responsible. It's being fiscally responsible. It's not my money. And so that's why I try to find grants to do these things, okay? So I think it's appropriate, it's been brought up, and I'll just, talk about the elephant in the room, that he will sue, that we'll sue, and it's gonna waste the taxpayers' money. Remember, this is not us, this is he will sue us, the board, for not giving him the amount of money. This has happened before, okay? It was mentioned that he did this and he won. That's a lie. It did not happen. Never went. It was a settlement between the supervisor and the assessor. It was Terry and Pete at the time. They settled. That was it. The times that it did happen, we had the memo, and if I can find it right here, it's okay, here it is. Let me just read this to the board. The issue of the authority to determine the township assessor's budget was examined by the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois in Denton versus Rush, and it has a bunch of letters and things like that. In that case, the township assessor of Avon Township sought a preliminary injunction preventing the township supervisor and the township board of trustees from passing a budget that was lower than what's submitted for approval. Interpreting Illinois law, the court held that the township board of trustees and not the township assessor ultimately determines the assessor's office budget. didn't add 27, the court explained, and then it's got all kinds of stuff, okay? So I was always told as a trustee and then as supervisor, you must pass whatever I put in front of you. That's not the case. That is this board's duty. Now, I can respect if you say you think he needs 7 employees. If that's your opinion, I respect that. I disagree, you know, and so, yeah, absolutely. So that's what what do you guys have?
I mean, I hear about all these changes and I wonder, does he like drive past a house and notice if they put a new doorbell on the front of it, change the assessment?
I don't know, and that's not my job. That's his job. He's elected to be the assessor. And so I trust, and by his multiplier, he's right in line with everybody else.
Well, you look at, number of parcels, this doesn't have the number of changes. He's got that thing you handed us a couple weeks back, number of changes. Total changes in Granite City was 288 changes. Do they just drive past these houses and, yeah, looks the same to me. Collinsville, 2,104. Alton, 3,743. Wood River, 653. Edwardsville, 775. Jarvis, 440. That was in 2018. Okay, let's slide over here to 2024. It's kind of the similar numbers, only Pete doubled up to 4,200. Granite City was 288, went down to 208. Alton was 3,743 changes. They went down to 137.
Can I help answer your question just a little bit? It was, well, last meeting, he explained that the assessor explained that he is the only one in the county that instead of doing it on a quad year, okay, so like, let's say Alton.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Alton did all their parcels in 1 year, where our assessor claims that he's doing 4,000 parcels each year that adds up to 16,000. Well, to me, that's even worse, because our quad year isn't even, well, first of all, our quad year, we're not even due for the 16,000 until 2028, okay? And so the point is that what I was told about the changes is that he says that it's a change if the amount of your assessment changes, where the other ones are saying it's a change if the property changes, okay? And so if your assessment goes up, he says, I changed your assessment. Well, everybody's assessments is always changing. So 4,000 parcels, that lines up with how many changes were made. Everybody's assessment changed, okay? But the other ones, they don't consider that a change. They consider it a change if something changed on your property.
Put a pool on.
Something.
Change
All
your
right,
doorbell.
that's, all I'm saying is that's not my expertise. I'm not telling him how to do his job. All I'm saying is those numbers, anybody that sees this does not add up. That's all. But that helps answer your question about the quad years and
Well, I just think it's ridiculous that everybody else is not doing changes. How come the state's attorney's not complaining about this after all these years? The state attorney isn't doing anything about it.
well, maybe there's no laws being broken.
Well, that's probably what's the truth.
Right. Anything else from anybody?
Yeah, I just wanna, kinda wanna follow up that you mentioned that the levy was unanimously passed and everything.
Yes, unanimously, yes.
So, but it wasn't without a serious discussion on how I felt that you weren't responsibly levying for certain things over the years. I'm not gonna let 90%, of what I thought was right derail the vote for the 10%. So, with that being said, I still think it's irresponsible, especially when somebody admits here at the table that they don't even understand the numbers or where the numbers are coming from, for them to vote to approve them. So, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Motion that we vote.
Yes, you're making a motion that we approve the budget?
Second.
Well, you make it clear what's going on.
I motion that we vote on this.
A vote on what?
let's end discussion and vote on it.
Do you motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I'll second that motion.
okay. There's no other questions, roll call.
Trustee Paul?
I can't vote no. My vote is a no because I can't vote yes in good conscience.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Crowell?
Yes.
Prosser?
No.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Mark is the first one.
Okay, all right. Discussion of proposal of new township bylaws.
Pro Tem first.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Item C, appointment of supervisor pro tem. If something happens to me, or I can't make it to a meeting, then you would be the supervisor in charge. You want it? Oh.
I think he's the best at administration.
I nominate Brad Sewell.
He's not levying, so we're not
What do you mean?
I don't know, whatever.
Well, we have a nomination, we have a second. For
Well, I
Brad.
nominate him.
No, there's already a nomination on the table. We have to have it let off.
Brad?
Second, okay. Roll call.
No.
You were in before.
Trustee Sewell?
No.
You can't vote no.
Okay, yes, whatever.
Crowell?
There is a
Prosser?
discussion.
Paul?
It's
Supervisor
just a
Cox?
discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're to discussion of proposed new township bylaws. There's quite a few items that, over the last few years that we felt that we could make the process better on the board, and this is just a discussion, and so if you have something in the next month that comes to your mind, you know, email me, call me, and we'll get it to the attorney to make sure if that's possible to do that.
Are you
But-
proposing, do you have anything?
Yes, I do.
Tonight?
Yes.
Okay, was it in our packet or anything?
No, this is just a discussion. Yeah, we're not voting on anything.
Oh, I know we're not voting on it, but
What I'm saying is, this is an open discussion.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
you got something to share with us.
I'm just discussion. And so, what it is that, I have a few items that we can discuss or whatnot, and then, possibly bring to the next meeting. And again, if you have something tonight that you're thinking that would make the process of the entire township better, then say it. But if you think about it in the next month, let us know. And then we'll put all this on paper for the next board meeting, and we'll vote. One absolute item that I would like to see on there is our agenda order. As we went along through the years, I noticed, and I had several, I wouldn't say complaints, but suggestions, just like the lady, people ask, hey, you're asking me a question, why can't I answer you back? Why don't we have an item under the public comments where the trustee can answer the question? That's only fair, okay? I think it's also appropriate that the order changes, because a lot of people, wouldn't you have liked it better if we would have got to the heart of this meeting right away? Why do we have to wait to the end of the meeting to get to the real meeting? So let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the stuff that matters first, and then, once that's done, we'll approve the stuff that usually is pretty fast and nice and quick, okay? So that's what I'm proposing, that's what I was trying to do before, and then you brought it to our attention that it was actually in the bylaws. I didn't even know that the agenda order was in the bylaws, but it was. And so, but anytime you wanna move the agenda, you can absolutely motion, and we can move the agenda too. I also think that it would be appropriate that, and this kind of happened tonight, but the board discuss items when that agenda item comes up. So if we're talking about the budget, if you have your comments about the budget, you use that under the budget line item, if that makes sense, because that, what we would have before is, oh, no, wait, we're gonna do something different. So it's like, if it's on the agenda, that's when we discuss that item. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, you can't limit what a trustee has to say during the trustee's time, just like you can't limit what you have to say during your time.
Right, well, that's what I was trying to.
I know, you tried to impose that several meetings.
No, well, I've talked to you about this, maybe explain what I
understand what you're
because my
trying to
motive is different. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the discussion, we had talked about this a couple weeks ago, a little bit. And I think it was not to bar people from bringing up a topic that's already been discussed or anything like that, but rather amending the bylaws to suggest that when an item is up for discussion, the appropriate time to discuss it is during that action time under old business. or new
Yeah, what we've
business.
seen in the past, though, is we've seen the denial of discussion downstream of the original discussion.
When nobody's ever been denied the
Yeah,
slideshows and everything, it all.
I can remember.
You can remember.
I can
the
remember
attempted-
a particular instance
Yes.
with that, but that's part of why, and
No,
part of this was the order of the agenda too, where something was put on the agenda for the
For
purpose,
that
for the
purpose.
purpose of discussion, and I think in the incident we're talking about, I think it may have been
General assistance.
the trustee asked for it to be put on there, and then
I'm
didn't
not
want to
sure.
discuss it during the discussion time, so they could have put on a presentation, more or less. And I think that, we can fix that.
I know.
Right. Let's see, my other thing is, I think that absences should be addressed. We didn't really have that problem on the last board, but I just know that there has been boards before that there's been many absences.
Absences
And
are addressed in the
State law on
in the
that.
state law.
so is the absences addressed in the, if you get paid in the state
Pay
law?
is probably not in there, but as far as
Right.
like being
And so my.
removed and everything. but-
Right, and so, this is just discussion. There was just my thought. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Recently, it's been a little bit more of a problem. The first 2 years was awesome. But, I know nobody's doing this for the money. Yeah, sure, Mike? So, those are my few suggestions that I wanna look at. I'll talk to our attorney about, making sure that things are legal, but do you guys have anything? Cause I know you guys have come to a lot of meetings and stuff.
Yeah, we need to address the social media topic.
And as far as, oh yeah, we still have that up for the vote, social media policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using Collinsville's, cause I thought if it was good enough for Collinsville, they've already drafted it, we don't have to spend any money on attorneys and everything. We changed all the things from the city of Collinsville to Collinsville Township. I thought that would be appropriate, we could save some money and just use theirs. I don't know if you guys are kinda okay with that, or.
Well, I'm just putting it on the items to discuss and things.
No, I know, I was just trying to make sure that we can put that up there. Should I be preparing a new social media policy, or can I use that one? That's my question.
So
Let's
I,
see
it's
it.
too, it's too long.
I think we wanted to
It's too
massage
long.
the toy one
I'll
with
send
maybe
you-
the city
I'll send
one
you-
and then have
I had made
any
some,
of our own.
I had made
We
some
have-
initial
yeah.
changes, and then I think that where we left it was, let me know what things you guys think and wanna
Right,
see.
we
and
just,
then-
we just never looped back.
And then it was, well, let's wait for the new board.
Yep.
Right.
And that's kind of what.
Okay.
I'm just getting it on the list.
Sounds good.
The only thought I had, because I looked at it, I mean, it's really, really, really long. But the only other thing I thought is, and it was a natural thing to just change from city manager to township supervisor.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is possible that the road commissioner might have something that needs to go in social media, even though she doesn't necessarily have access to doing it herself, if she says, hey, whoever is managing it, would you put this on there? It might be best if we not just had supervisor,
Right.
but we had like administrators, which would be defined as him, her, and the assessor, because they might also have something. That was the only thing I thought of that
That'd be good.
didn't translate directly from the city.
Fine suggestion.
Okay. Anything else?
Is there anything else?
If you guys think of anything, just hit me up.
No, I'm just trying to.
Right, I was kind of going through it today, and I might even think of another item, and if I do, I'll email you. Can't really discuss it over email at all, but just to give you guys a heads up, and then I'll go with our attorney, and then we'll at least be prepared for the next meeting to talk about it. Because there might be some other things. Okay, so the next item is community, we're almost done. Community garden. I love the idea. It was, first I had heard about it is from Margot, and then when I was meeting with Trustee Prosser, he loved the idea. And so we have this lot over here. I talked to the owner of the lot and told him everything, and he seems that he wants to,
We're the owners of the lot.
no, I talked to the owner of the buildings where everybody parks,
Right.
right? And, he's all about it. I want this community garden, you know, and he's wanting to do veteran housing, over there, and he seems to be wanting to work with the city of Collinsville, and so that's all we can do. And so I love the idea. The problem is, again, I would like to use grant money for this, okay? I don't want to use, I am in my budget. They're really, for anybody that wants to say, oh, he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that, well, there's no money in the budget to do all this. So you don't have to worry, right? So the point is, we did find a grant for a community garden. This grant, I'm not saying it's not doable. I think that there's some things in here that I don't necessarily agree with questionnaires and stuff, and you'll get into that. I'm meeting with the city tomorrow morning at 10:30, and they love the idea, but I want them to help out. We gotta get a water line over there. I'm sure that they'll waive the fees and things like that, but we have to have a lot of things together before we get going on this. I would say if we did everything exactly correct, we would be looking at next spring or summer, okay? If we get this grant is $20,000. Point is, one thing different that I'm gonna try to do this term, I would like, not me doing all the projects, I would like this board to, take ownership of, it was a great idea. I would love this to be your guys' baby, right? I'll come to the meetings and have if you have a committee meeting, let's get some seniors involved that want to help. Let's get some other community members from Unit 10 and things like that, and let's do this. But I would like you guys to work together, and lead this. And I'll give you all the credit too.
I can take care of the water side, because I'm looking here right now on the maps. We actually have a water main in the front and actually one in the alley.
Mhm.
So we can do access from either side.
Yeah, and just take a water light, so we maybe even have two. And I'm no expert on greenhouses and any of that, and so we need to find some people, maybe if it's the horticulture program at Unit 10, let's reach out to Unit 10 and see if they can provide us somebody, and so.
Willoughby Farms had it.
That's your blessing right down the road.
Right, and I think we can make it look really nice. I think it could be a bit.
Fenced in.
Yes, absolutely. There has to be a lot of there's a lot
Yeah,
to
it's
think
kind of like
about.
we did the city for the dog, little park
Yeah.
uptown by hers funeral home. We
Right.
had it fenced in, and you just have a keypad to get into.
Right, a code, and you
to
go
get
in
into
there,
the door. Yep.
and I know that the seniors would absolutely love it. They could have their own spots and their other things, but this isn't just for the senior center. It's for, maybe it's the horticulture program in Collinsville, maybe they have a little spot, and other people, so, anyway.
Any thoughts about bricking it off right now so we can get all the equipment out of that lot? I would love to see that happen.
Bricking it off, what do you mean?
What do you call
Digging
it?
it up?
Not digging it up, but the concrete ballards.
Oh.
Like
Some things.
5-foot ones.
I mean, I could do that, and he tells me if it's ever, here's what I told him. I said, listen, I need you to keep all your stuff as far back out of view as possible, okay? The problem is that we went over this before, the same thing with his tenants. If we take their parking lot away, they're gonna park. Now they're gonna park
Over here.
they're gonna park over here, and they're gonna use spots that are better for the senior center. And so we're just kinda in that spot that there's nothing really easy to do, right now. I mean, I understand it, I hate the look of it.
Boot their trucks.
I put warning signs on them many times. I've had BK come out, and they've, and that cost us too. So, anyway, so we'll do that, and supervisors' comments. Did I miss anybody's question?
You're gonna address
The one where we asked something.
about,
How many people did we help?
yeah.
I think Donna asked, how many people did we help? That's a great question, and that's one that has always concerned me, because, and I talked about it at our swearing in, okay? writing a check to somebody, does that necessarily mean that you helped them? Doesn't. No, because I guarantee all of us have had problems in our life. It doesn't always tie back to just getting a check and then your problems are better. So I've already tasked my general assistance manager to, I want a checkup. When we give somebody some money on their rent or their water bill, I would like to know, how are they doing 3 months later? Did that help? Did it not? So we can start benchmarking if what we're spending is actually helping, because sometimes, I hate to say it, but it doesn't help at all. It just enables it, and it only costs us more money. I want to find ways to actually help people. What is their problem? Let's get to the bottom of it. Like I said, do they have leaking water? Do they? We do bus tokens. We do the general assistance. We do the applications. A lot of times they don't qualify. So if they don't qualify, we can't go around the law and just give them y'all's money. That ain't right either.
So before you can help them, they have to fill out an application?
Lots of applications, lots of applications.
And does it go by income or?
It goes by income, yeah. So if somebody's making more than I am, why would we write them a check?
Well, I mean, like if somebody would lose their job and to keep them from, like
Correct.
they got a big, like water bill or
That's-
whatever.
that's
to
right.
help them in that way?
Right,
We do
and
that.
what it is there's certain qualifications. If you're receiving any other assistance, you don't qualify for general assistance, okay? And so, have you applied? So what, and my staff is very, and Don's here, and he can testify to this as well. First of all, they're very caring. In there, they care about those people, and sometimes it's a frustrating situation. They'll come to the window, they're yelling and screaming, they think that they're owed something. It's not the township's fault, we're here to help. But is helping just writing a check? So to answer your question, it's hard to answer your question. All right, we have a report of how many people we gave applications to. We gave 9 applications out last month. 3 turned them back in and 3 didn't qualify. Now, we did a whole bunch of LIHEAPs. We do some of the most in the county, which means help on your energy bills, okay? And we turn those into the county. So my point is, to answer your question, it's very hard to track, but I want to do a better job in general assistance in finding out what their, not so much their root cause, we can't fix everything, but what can we fix? And just writing a check to keep them in their house for another month, is that going to help? Maybe we should try to find them a job, you know? Because there's all kinds of things in the statute right now that says we could do community service to get the money. We could do, I've mentioned it before, and we could do, other townships do drug testing. Okay, do they have a drug problem? Are they just are they using this money to further on their problem? I'm not saying that we're doing that. I'm saying that these are all available. I'm not just using rhetoric to try to fire up people. We want to help.
But so I saw where somebody said something about food assistance.
Mhm.
Well, do we not have pantries for that?
Yes, we do, yeah, and we always.
Do you have a pantry yourself?
Yes, yep, and what we have in place now is we have that folks can come up and they get it once every 2 weeks. They have to sign in, because what was happening before is we'd have the same people coming every day. And what the problem is the blessing box that I get criticized for, yet the person criticizing me voted for removing the blessing box. Okay, it got so bad that there was fights, there was police there, it was very dangerous to the tax-paying citizens. And how do you think when a business owner comes uptown and they think, I'm thinking about moving my business to Collinsville, and they see these problems, are we helping the issue, or are we making it worse? Okay?
So did you remove all of them?
No, we removed the one.
St. John.
No, yeah, just we removed the one by here, by the township building. And the only reason is because this part of town, some parts of town are better than others, okay? And it had become fights, it become guns, needles, it was very bad. And that's why we did that.
Well, I know St. John's is there because
Yeah.
when I find things
So,
on sale, I'm taking it. That's the reason why I'm asking.
okay.
That's the only one I've ever given to.
Thank you. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a motion to go into closed session.
A motion we go into closed.
Second.
We have to specify
Right,
why we're
yes.
going.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Not quite so simple. So the motion's gonna be, we're gonna adjourn to closed session to discuss pending or probable litigation, and also discuss the possible release of, the minutes of, the previous
sessions.
closed session.
Motion
Those
to-
would be the two things, those are the only things we could talk about.
And to retain, and on the retain the
Potential
attorney.
appointment.
Well, we're gonna
Appointment.
talk about litigation, so that's, under. Or-
Did he say that right?
You
'Cause on the
wanna,
thing
you
it
wanna
says-
also include employment, and compensation?
It says it on the agenda.
That's after.
Yeah, no, but that's after we.
Well, we're not gonna have any votes, right?
And potential employment of,
Okay, okay.
it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, so would that be the appointment and compensation of, oh yeah, our legal.
To discuss it.
Okay, so we have three items we're going into closed session for.
Yes, and just so you all know, we will not take any votes in closed session. We'll discuss things and we'll come out here and make a vote. You don't have to stay if you don't like to. You can enjoy the evening that's still left. It's always my favorite time in
Still got
summertime.
plenty of food.
Yeah,
So, Sewell and, Clint, you seconded.
Yeah, second.
okay.
Roll call, Paul, yes, sorry.
You're fine.
Using facilities.
Paul,
Okay,
Yeah, they're gonna.
You said yes. I
all in favor?
Yes.
Okay,
you have to roll call
okay.
on that.
We'll go into closed session now. Thank you, guys.